Okay, we're back with part 2. Let's get on with step 7. So in step 7, I'm going to number all the spark plug wires. Now in this picture that I'm going to flash on the screen, we have the firing order of the engine with the passenger side being cylinders 1, 2, 3, and 4 to the back towards the firewall, driver's side being 5 in the front, cylinders 6, 7, and 8, oriented like so. And then we have the distributor cap labeled as well, 1 through 8, with how each spark plug wire connects to it. Now I have here some numbered tape, and we are going to put 0 for the middle wire that goes to this connection here, and then the rest of the wires are 1 through 8, which correspond to all the cylinders. Now I have 1, 2, and 3. I don't have 4, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 9 on wire number 4, but I'll just write a 4 on it, a bunch of 4s on it with Sharpie. So this numbered tape is kind of nice. All you got to do is pull a little bit out, and there's like a perforated steel section right here. And you can pull the strip of number tape out, put it up against that, and then take the closing tab and just kind of close it and pull. And now but still, I will wrap it around the wire. Always good to label your stuff. Okay, so we have that one labeled. I think I can just disconnect it right here. There we go, a little twist and pull always helps. Okay, so that's disconnected from whatever, I forgot what this little box is called. And then number 1 wire per orientation. Actually, you can actually look on the distributor itself. Number 1 wire has number 1 casted into the plastic cap, and it's right in front of it. So this wire is gonna be number 1. And then furthermore, I can even trace that wire out to cylinder 1. Since we know cylinder 1 is the first one on the passenger side, if I have the wire here, let me take you over here. Okay, so it's the connections here, and the wire goes all the way down right behind the oil cap, and it goes down here, and that spark plug wire goes to the number 1 spark plug. Actually, of course my hand's in a tight space, so trying to get a good pull on it is hard, but okay, there we go. You can see spark plug 1 poking out there. So we'll just take this wire and pull it up. As you can see, it's free, so it looks pretty good. These were replaced in 2020, so I have no problem with that. And we will put a piece of number 1 tape around that wire. They're just a little tight. Oh, there we go. All right. I think I'm simply going to put another piece of number 1 tape, and I'm going to put it right up against the boot that goes against the distributor cap. That way I'll have this on video and I'll remember that for sure for the orientation of the wires. Okay, so I'm going to put number 1 on the bench. According to our chart, is number 3. So I will, before I disconnect it, I will just simply take out a piece of number 3 tape, and I will put it right up against the boot. And I really only need 1 piece of tape. I don't need to put 2. So I'll just do that, and then I can disconnect it. Yep, just like that. And then, just for solidarity, for one more, for our sanity that we're going with the right process, I will trace out the wire. It should go to spark plug number 3 / cylinder number 3, and it will be, and it's in this little plastic clip. We can pull it out of that, and yes, so it's going to this spark plug here, which is number 3, because the one right in front of it we haven't pulled off, and that's number 2. So I will pull her off. I definitely had all these disconnected in 2020 because I had to re-gap the spark plugs. Oh, there we go. All right, so number 3 is out of the car. Again, at this point, I can just throw these on the bench because I got the tape toward the one side. Always got to get the bench cleaned up. It's in this little... Okay, so these 4 wires still have this plastic piece holding them all together fully intact. So I'm going to want to disconnect that with the pick. And there we go. You get that piece, that little piece to separate out. You can open up the whole thing, and then spark plug number 7, we can take out the little bracket there. And then is it in another bracket? Oh yeah, it is. But that one is open, so we'll pull it out of there. Okay, so lay it here. We'll trace out the rest. It is cylinder number 7, and it goes into another bracket. Brackets on brackets. So that little bracket's right here, which just sits on a stud on the valve cover. And we trace the wire all the way out to cylinder number 7, cylinder number 8, all the way in the back. But here it is, number 7. We just got to get this guy loose. Okay, so that will complete step 7. All the wires disconnected. We got them laid out there. Now, step 8. Yeah, you know what? We'll call that step 8. Taking the distributor out. So, in order to do this, we're first going to unplug our sensor that goes to the distributor, which is right here. And that is going to be a push tab right here if you hold the other side, or if the other side is held in by a plastic tab still, or maybe it broke off. So those are common to break off. What I could do is I can push that down. I'm gonna put the phone up here. Can you see that? Yeah, you kind of see that. So I'm gonna push down on that tab I just showed you. Try to disconnect the sensor because I need 2 hands. So just be very careful with all sensors, but of course this one, because the wiring, it takes a very sharp, almost U-turn right here. So you don't want to push it back too much. You don't want to disturb that wiring too much since it's, 29 years old at this point. Of course, the other side, be very careful because you're up close near the injector sensor and whatnot. You don't want to damage any of that. 1/2-inch wrench. I think you need a setup where it's kind of curved from where you put this on the bolt head and the rest of it kind of curves up slightly. This is a 13 millimeters correct size, but it just comes straight out. Plus the ratcheting head I think is too big to get in there because the bolt head is so close to the bottom part of the body of the distributor. And then plus you got the belt right here in the way. So I think what I had to do is, well, actually the wrench sits right above the belt. If you can break it loose, go for it. Okay. The only problem is I did break it loose. However, trying to got the upper radiator hose kind of right in the way. So use the open end of the wrench. Just try to get it a little, 8 turns at a time. Okay, there we go. That's one. Fine tuning the timing. Of course, I have a timing light as well. Okay, that might be loose enough. I may be able to get it by hand, but the problem is with this radiator hose trying to stuff my hand in that gap. So you're going to want to shoot the gap between the pulley and the upper radiator hose. We're eventually going to drain the coolant and take that hose off. But let me see if I can shoot the gap. And yes, I can. So with my index finger, my middle finger, I'm just loosening the bolt. I'm going to take it all the way out. And I know it's hard to see what I'm doing, but I'm just taking the bolt out, take the metal piece out with it, and the distributor should come right out. I can stuff a rag down the hole, make sure nothing falls down in there. Okay, so we got the bolt loose. I'm gonna bring out the metal piece with me. Okay, this is what it looks like. So got that out. And I'm just gonna set this. I got this, yeah, this little blue. Oh, I think it twists as it comes out, if I remember correctly. Yes, so you're gonna twist it counterclockwise. And you'll lift. Yeah, okay, so it's starting to lift as you, yep, and then straight out. Or keep twisting. Oh. Of course, that's what it was. The sensor, you gotta have it up out of the way. Oh, so the other sensor's kind of, the wiring's right on top. So you're... Okay, so finish out step 8. We'll grab the distributor and we can just kind of finagle it up and out. And there it goes. It's got a little gear that meshes in right there. And then last time, this black O-ring right here, I did replace that because the old one was brittle and just cracked on me. So thankfully, a new one, O-ring came in the kit. Or whatever, maybe it is, what did I buy last time? I definitely got this, a new O-ring here. Oh, you know what it was? It was the upper and lower intake manifold gaskets. One of those came with a new O-ring because this old ring was brittle and just cracked on me as soon as I tried to take it off. So we got an open hole. We don't want to drop anything down into the engine. So I will just stuff a rag down there. Not too far down, we can just grab it out. A pair of pliers later on. Okay, so that's nice and covered up. And that completes step 8. Okay, step 9, we're going to take off the upper intake manifold. So we got this plate here, which are some bolts hiding underneath it, which are part of the bolts holding down the upper. So you got these little screws here. They are torque screws. Thankfully, mine are not rusted out. And I've already had these loose. I put a little never sees on them going back in. They are a T20. So I have a T20 1/4-inch ratchet. I'm just gonna break these loose. Yep, I didn't get them super tight last time because it's a very small screw. You definitely don't want to break it off or strip the threads. So don't go too tight when you go back with it. And hopefully you can get yours loose. Okay, so I'll take the one out. I'll lay it there for now. And the other one, I'll put there, and you can take your plate off, which will reveal you're gonna have, is it just 2? Yeah, you just got 2 intake manifold bolts here. And these are all different lengths, so we're gonna denote the length of these before we put them back in. I think I'll just simply screw these little screws back in so they're in the same place so I don't lose them. One here and one here. Okay, that's good to go. Okay. All right, 3/8 ratchet with a 10 mil. And break it loose. See if we can get the other one, sneak the other one right behind the throttle cable. Yes, yes we can. I'll take the ratchet off. I could just, grab the socket, spin it out by hand. And again, these are 2 bolts I can just put right back into the elbow part, the intake manifold, so I don't lose them. I'll take the socket off so I can spin these off by hand. Set them to the side real quick. So yeah, just making your work easier for yourself for on the way back, putting everything together. Okay, so the bracket, whole bracket assembly comes off, so you can just go ahead, and it's kind of tied in with the throttle body, so you can really just push off to the side a little bit. That's no problem. And then thread holes are exposed, so just bolts hand tight back in just to hold them in there. 1 and 2. Okay, so yeah, let's tackle the 2 EGR nuts right here. So this, I'm gonna go in. Let's go with a wrench. Where is that 1/2 inch I just had? Here. It could be a 12. It is a 13 or 1/2 inch. So let's see if we can, yep, we can break it loose. Very nice. Should be loose enough. I can reach in there. Take this one off by hand. Okay, set that stud right here. That nut, rather. And these nuts have a washer that's captured in the nut. So that's kind of nice, so you don't have to worry about dropping the washer. And then the whole HER piece, it's it is kind of it's literally welded right into the exhaust manifold on the passenger side here. If you can see, well, you know what? Actually, it's not. It's actually got a nut. It's actually threaded on, but the whole thing has this, if I pull this sock back, it's got some kind of flexible tube. So the whole thing has a little flex to it, if you can see that. So I think what I actually have to do, if I'm taking it off the last time, is this nut is so rusted on, these threads are so rusted, you can see that. I have to try to get a torch in there and heat it up, and I'm not going to do that in this small space. So what I did last time is actually just loosen up all the bolts on the upper, and I started wiggling it and got movement on this, so I could basically move both of them, because this has a little bit of play right now, and once I loosen up the bolts on the intake manifold, I'll have movement there to move it away, and that's how I was able to finagle this out and away. So I'll do that later. But for continuing on up here, I'll put these nuts on the bench just for now, just so I don't drop them on the car, down in there anywhere. Right near the back of the elbow, we have these two, and you're simply going to pull them off the bung here. I think this hose is going to have to come off as well. What does the hose go to? Actually, the hose comes off, it goes over here, pops up over here, here. Oh, it goes into the vacuum tee. It's the bottom one. Labeled, what was that labeled? G? It's labeled S. S, AC, SC, and BB. Can't think of what those stand for right now, but that's what it goes to. So we will take off the little, pull this clamp back and then pull that hose off. But this piece, you're also going to want to pull it off. It just goes right into that little metal piece there. Yeah, a little screwdriver action to help out. And she pulls right off. And the other one goes to a sensor. And we'll pull that one straight up and off. See, these two little ports are exposed now. And then we'll grab a channel lock. There we go. So just pull that back, lay it out to the side. You should be able to grab the whole hose and wiggle it. I can get some assistance here. It's a little starting pry. A little twist and pull. It's nice and tight. You can see it starting to go. And she goes. All right. Okay, so we got all three loose. This one is a red wire. You have another one here that is a green wire. So make sure the red wire goes right here on this section of the elbow, on this port right here. The green one goes into the, I guess, the hot side of the EGR. And we could just, let's see, that should just pull right off. I'm trying to think we had to take this off. Yeah, you know what? We'll have to take it off because when we pry the hot side of the EGR off the studs, it's going to sit off a little bit. We don't want to stretch that green wire. Just give us more room later on. The more room, the better. Okay, so the green wire pulls right off this port. Huh, what else? Okay, so this bracket's gonna have to come off, and this nut comes off. It'll expose the stud. We get a long deep well socket because this will be one of the intake manifold bolts. So we just pull these, the throttle cable, cruise control out of the bracket, and we'll get the socket. Okay, so this is a little oddball, but this nut right here is actually 11 millimeter. I got 11 millimeter shallow socket. Get the ratchet. Yep, we're gonna break that loose. Take that off. Okay, and then up on the cowl, windshield cowl, I'm gonna set both of these here. And then now the 13 millimeter socket's a little bit loose, so it's gonna be more like break it loose, no problem. Yep. Okay, this stud, it's gonna come right out. I think it's a longer stud. Yes, yes it is. Okay, so we're gonna put this stud up top. I'll put the bracket on with the nut just so all that is together. On that bolt head right there. Yep, got it. Okay, so now this bolt will come out. You can see the lower intake manifold, the passenger rear right bolt for the upper intake manifold is that long. Sit on the dash. Okay, so next we'll take this one off, which was underneath the plate. Okay. Break that one loose, and then break the other one loose here. This one could be the same length. Okay, so that's a win. They're both the same length. We'll set those up there on the dash. This one's obviously going to be longer than the one down low. Break that loose. Get the other one loose. Okay. There we go. That was a short one, so set both of these over here. Okay, so we got them all on the dash. You got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 upper intake manifold bolts. Yeah, that should be the whole thing. See, now it's moving. We have this brass T, so the bottom goes in the intake manifold. The right side comes under here and goes into that driver's side of the intake manifold. But the left side goes, where does it go? I think this is like the, was it the PVC tube going down? Is that going into the lower or right into the engine actually? think so. So you can either disconnect the brass T or this could pull up. Yes, it pulls right up. Okay, that's a good sign. So you just got to pull that piece out of the top of the engine block in the back near the firewall. Upper intake can flex. You can see the studs can come out of the EGR tube. Okay, there we go. And this, let me grab it with two hands. Oh, of course. We have another wire, or another air tube. The brass T and everything's coming with us, but this tube here can come off. Oh, there we go. Come on. Oh, got it. Okay, upper coming off. My gasket will come off. This is a relatively new gasket. Take that off. Yeah, lay it up here for now. Now, this is what the bot underneath the upper intake manifold looks like. Oh, the two nuts, yes. So these are the studs for the hot side of the EGR. We'll thread those back on so we don't lose those. And the gasket, you can see, is definitely seen better days. So we'll want to think about a new one for this piece. Now, not just this line was rotted off of this port, but off the bigger port underneath the upper intake manifold. I got new rubber hosing and just basically replaced everything, because this piece by itself actually will separate from the hose. So I got all new hosing, and I got this brass T because there was a plastic T there, and I thought that's not good in a hot, so many heat cycles in a hot engine bay environment. So I got a brass T, and that's I feel like for longevity it's definitely better. So definitely think about that. And then I actually unthreaded this piece and I just re-siliconed it with red silicone. And that, because I actually had a little bit of a leak out of there, I suspect. So I did that when I took all this apart previously. So again, this has been step 9, removing the upper intake manifold. And we will move on to step 10 on the car, which is, I'll put some tape and block off those ports there. We'll get into step 10 tomorrow. I'm pretty tired for tonight. Thanks for watching. All right, so for step 10, we are going to be disconnecting these sensors, one here, one right here, and there's actually one right down here on top of the lower intake manifold. And these are part of the harness that also goes to all the injectors. So we're going to disconnect all the injector sensors as well. We're then going to disconnect the alternator wiring, because this wiring loom is kind of right in the way. You don't technically have to disconnect it, I don't think, but it just makes it a lot easier to get this part of the intake manifold up and out of the car. So first, let us tackle, actually, you know what, we'll tackle the alternator area first. So you're going to grab a 10mm wrench, and I guess maybe that's the positive side. There's a 10mm nut right here. Oh, and by the way, these two pickups that were on the hot and cold side of the EGR, you can take this whole wiring piece and just kind of lay it out of the way where the airbox was. Now that area is open, just to get it out of the way of the lower intake manifold area. So you're gonna go lefty-loosey. Now there's a red plastic little area or piece that surrounds the nut, so you can barely get the 10mm ratcheting wrench started on the nut. Just be careful when you're breaking it loose. You don't want to round off the edge of the nut. You want to make sure you break it loose. And I already had mine a little bit broken loose before I started the video. Cheating, I know, but just gotta make sure. And then you can take it off and get the nut off. Then we'll be able to take this cable off. Cable should just, cable slides off just like that. And then like we've been doing, we'll just start the nut back on the thread so we don't lose it later on. Now, actually, this little rubber piece, we disconnected it from the air box. The other side goes in just below the oil fill cap. And we're just gonna take that off because that's just kind of in our way with a couple things. So you just wiggle it right off of the port there on the oil fill tube. Okay, just like that. And we can just take that out of the car, put it up here. I think that's kind of what I have to do here, or if I could pry up like this, that might be working. And then maybe I can grab the whole thing. Yes, and just like that, it pulls out. So this wire, very old, very fragile, so be very careful of it. See, it just comes out just like that, and it sits on that little metal tab in the center of the receiving side. So we got that off, and the last thing is going to be this sensor here, which, how did I get this guy off last time? Oh, it's just simply pull it up and out. That works. Very nice. All right, so you get this whole alternator wiring loop, and then over here on the right behind this pulley, there's a little tab, plastic tab in the bracket here, and you could just pry that up and off. So just got one side, and these always, since it's plastic, it never really goes back the same once you take it out. So we got that loose. We get the whole thing, and honestly, I think all I did was kind of just kick it out to the front for now, just to make some room here. Okay, so now furthering step 10, this sensor right here, you're gonna pull this ear up, and it's actually, you have to grab it on the inside. You can't grab it on the outside because the inside piece has to come out. So, okay, there we go. All right, up over the tab, and she's out. So that takes care of that. So yeah, there you can see this plastic brown section has to come out of there, out of the black receiver, and this tab is pretty tall, so it's a lot of bending for this ear to come up over that tab. So we got that off. Next, we have on top of the intake manifold just a little sensor that sits right on top here. We can pull that right up and off. It's actually threaded, a piece that it connects to, which is kind of odd because this obviously doesn't screw on. The other ones for the EGR pickup are just smooth and a better fit than this, so that is definitely curious, but we'll let it ride. And then we got this guy right here. It's got a little ear, a little plastic ear we can pull out of the hole here. If I get you guys, let me take you over here. So yeah, it sits in that little hole right here. And then you can kind of pull the sensor up here to where you can see it. And as you can see, there's a little ear here you're gonna want to pull up. You can pull the sensor out. So if I well, breaking it's one way to do it. That sucks. So what the heck? This is crazy how tight this is. I mean, it didn't break it last time. Oh, finally. Okay, so that one was that was just really tight. I don't know. I got it apart last time with no issues, but broke the plastic tab there. I'll have to deal with that later. Let's carry on. Okay, so now we got all those apart. Next, we'll move on to the injectors. Now, the injectors are going to have a tab over here and then a tab on the other side. Both of those are going to have to pull out, and you pull the injector up and out. But you might kick one side off and the other side clicks back on. So pulling up on the sensor a little bit, yep, keeps them both off. Okay, so as you can see, we got one ejector sensor off. Then we'll do the same for the other 7. So I'll just keep you guys here. But I got to get up close to them to see what I'm doing. Okay, that's 2. Okay, got 3. Okay. All right, driver's side's done. I'm gonna put these sensors towards the middle area. Just later on, just for now. Okay, so that one. Okay, that's another one. Okay, that's 7, and we got 1 more to go. Now the last one, right behind the, I guess the fuel pressure regulator, is really a pain to get to. I'm trying to think here. I think I just stuffed some of these wires. Maybe pull the throttle cable forward. Pulled some of these wires up and out of the way, hopefully. I got it. Whew. Lucky kind of first try once I actually got in there. Nice. Okay. Hoo-wee. So, does that complete my step 10, disconnecting all the sensors around the lower intake manifold? I think there's one more thing I'm going to show you guys. Yeah, I mean, the last thing I could think of is right here. You got the wiring harness, it's got a little tab in this metal bracket. And that metal bracket attaches to these hard metal lines that come all the way up here, and one goes off into this, which goes right down into the lower intake manifold, and the other one goes right here into this piping which is piping coolant, and that is gonna go, I think, right into the water pump, to be honest. There's 2 lines going to the water pump. One comes out and it goes right there, which also goes in the lower intake manifold. So we're going to get this little tab here off. Right there. So get that disconnected. I think, oh, you know what? You got the whole wire harness goes into this sensor here, which, yeah, you just push this tab in here where my thumb is and pull it out. So you can just take that off. That can help get the whole harness honestly out over this way to help you out. Yeah, you're gonna need it out of the way as much as you can, because not only take out the lower intake manifold, but we're gonna drain the coolant next. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So if you're gonna reuse your coolant, you're going to want a clean drain pan, keyword clean. Did I use this guy last time? I think it's like super clean. I also have this guy. It's dirty though, but I think I had old coolant and I replaced the old coolant, new coolant on the car. But now that I'm just gonna reuse coolant, because I barely have any miles driven with this new coolant, I can put it in my brand new container. So I'll take this tab out. Is it a thread out? Or is it a pull out? Oh yeah, it's just kind of it pops up and hangs in place. Drained it last time as I just disconnected the lower radiator hose and let it all drain out of there. Let it, whatever's gonna drain out. That should be fine. Last time I changed oils, 130,000. Got 134,000 miles on it, so it's honestly due an oil change here as well. But I'm gonna get the car up on jack stands and then we'll drain the coolant. Okay, we're here underneath the car. We got a jack stand and a floor jack supporting the driver's side so we can access this area. And the hose clamps, because it's going to be an 8mm. Let's go ahead and loosen that up. You should see. Oh yeah, coolant coming out already. Look at that. The only thing is, I don't want to get my arm all full of coolant, so I'm going to actually shift my body so that I am more towards the middle underneath the car. I think if I could do that, oh, yeah, and I'm a little bit away from all the splash. Hold it out at first. Let a lot drain out, perhaps. Oh yeah, I'm getting splashed now. I'm far away from it. I'm still getting splashed in the face. All right, as you can see, it just made an absolute mess everywhere. It's not terrible, it's just a bunch of splash, but we got it out. And most of it is in the drain pan. You can see the hose is loose. It's just, we're gonna let it fully drain out, as well as out of the radiator. It'll be good to go there. And I'll just have to wipe it off the tire, wipe it off the floor, off my light. Well, it kept splashing me in the face. It's like, come on, man. I'm like, got my head 3 feet away from it, it's still splashing me. There we go. And you got to grab this clip here, this clamp, and pull it together, and then pull it up. Now you can grab the other side with your finger. You just got to be real careful. It's got a lot of tension on it. If it lets go, you're gonna really pinch the hell out of your finger. You can have a bad day. Oh, if you're careful, you can just kind of work it up. There we go. Let that be, and then this piece we can swing over to the side. Just let that sit over here for now. Okay, so next, now that we got that disconnected, see we still got a little bit of coolant there. I drain it, and I think maybe when I disconnect these lines, I'm gonna get some more coolant out. Oh, don't be a pain in the butt. Going back on. There we go. All right, that's back on. So, we need to shift our over this way to catch what we're about to take out. Because if there's still coolant in here, when we unbolt this whole thing, it's gonna drain out somewhere. So, this being 8mm, nice. This clamp, very good. In case we have a drainage, we have our drain pan down below ready to catch it. Catch him, did he? Catch him. Catch him, dairy, I think it was. Okay. There we go. Got that loose now. Sometimes there'll be a little tension on one side of the hose clamp, so just release the tension and start to work it off. Go. Nice pop. Okay, we got one side off. No coolant coming out of there. And then the other side of this tubing is going to be right here underneath the belt. I might be able to sneak this ratchet here. Yeah, kind of. Is it going? Yeah. If I want to do that, if I want to keep trying, being stubborn. Okay, so it's actually gonna be that bolt head right there is gonna be 15mm. So I got the 15mm ratcheting wrench, and I'm just gonna pull up, pull over, and then slip the belt off. Any spot that you can, I'll slip it off the alternator pulley, which you can see right there. Once I got it loose, I just slipped the belt off there, holding tension here on the double wrench, and I'm going to slowly release since I got the belt loose. Okay. Oh, come on. Don't be stupid. Of course, I got the wrenches stuck. This is so dumb. Stuff like stupid stuff like this will happen. Get the belt stuck right on top of the wrenches. Okay. All right. Then, come on. That's bush league. Okay. And since we're taking the belt off, let's remember the routing. So the rib side goes around the alternator. Then you have the outside of the belt going around tensioner pulley. After that, it's going to loop around the, what is that down there? The smog pump, I believe. And then after the smog pump, it's going to come up, and the smooth side of the belt's going to go over the water pulley, and then it'll go back down, and the rib side will go under the harmonic balancer, and then it will come over here to the, I believe that's the AC compressor down low, rib side around the AC compressor, and then it'll come straight up and go rib side over the power steering pump. There's your power steering fluid reservoir. After rib side goes over that, it's going to go underneath smooth side on this smooth pulley, and then it comes all the way back to the alternator pulley rib side. So that is your belt orientation. You can obviously look it up on Google. A million forums and websites have that for you, but I just wanted to do it live so that I remember it. So we'll fish the belt up and out of there. Micro V KO61058, 6BK2687 if you need to know that string of numbers as well. Yeah, that fox is going crazy. You can get the screwdriver. Get the screwdriver down there first to pry up off the hose. That might be better for you. And if you could just pry it off a little bit, you may be able to do a little twist and pull. Oh, dang, that's tight. Oh, finally. Oh, wow. That's a tough pull. Okay, so we got it out. Here's what it looks like. And we'll set that to the side. Okay, let's try the 6mm it is. I'll throw a, will that fit? Yeah, I'll throw a 3" extension on it. Go lefty loosey. Tension off of that, perfect. Got that one loose. I'll go ahead and take the other side loose while I'm here. Oh, yes. Oh, it's close. Coming to Papa. Oh, okay, got it. Right? It's literally right there. Okay, got it. Okay, we got the one side off. It's such a tight turn. It's going to be hard to work it loose. But now the bottom, since it's kind of close by, we can kind of twist this around. Yeah, a little bit of prying sometimes is just what you need to help get it started loose. But you can twist and pull, and that should help you. Just like that. Oh, there we go. Another one out of the car. We will rock you. So we're gonna have to get this hard line of the that goes to the heater core, or the heater core lines, get that bracket loose to pop it up before we can take this nut loose, because this nut threads directly into the top pipe thread, into the lower intake manifold. So, like I said before, there is, I think there's only one. We'll double check here. There's the one bracket there. I think that might be the only one. I can't really see. We'll check back down there in a bit, but let's go ahead and get that nut loose. 3mm, but I did bring home a 1/2-inch socket, because that's a better fit. This on the upper intake manifold bolt, we use a 13mm, but it's a little sloppy. So, put our socket on, and we shall break it loose. Nice. Couple fingers and grab it by hand. Yes. And she's out. Now this one, I'll lay on the dash over here. I'll probably put it back on that stud later. So I'm gonna come in with 2 hands. So is it 1 1/8 or is it 1 1/4? No, it is 1 1/8. Okay. So you're going to break this loose. If you've never taken this loose before, it is going to be extremely tight. So be advised. I think I had to smack the end of the wrench with a hammer just to get it loose at first. Now, as you're loosening, you see I'm kind of at a bad angle. I'm right underneath this sensor here, and I do not want to mess with that. So I'm going to see if I can repick and get a better grab. I might come under if possible, but you have the elbow here, which you may want to take off, give you better access. I think I did it without messing with the elbow. So let's see here. You can also flip the wrench around and just do what you gotta do, but very careful of that sensor there. It looks like you could unthread it, just put in some new Teflon tape, but I don't think I have to do that. And I'm gonna go for a lefty loosey. Yes, and it is moving. Very good. So now my wiring here kind of fell back down. Get that tucked away over here. And it's going to be a slow process, but you're just going to have to keep at it to get all the way loose. And once this big 1 1/8 wrench, once you get it loose enough with this, you can switch over to a 10-inch adjustable, because that's going to fit in much better. So since I already have mine broken loose, I will now grab, or if it's loose enough for you, you can actually, if you have a 6-inch adjustable that opens up enough, you can get in there with it. But you can see now I have a much better tool and get in here in a tighter space. Oh, I can work this 10-inch adjustable around. So you're just gonna keep working this nut loose till it's all the way out of the threads. And when you go back with it, remember you need to put some kind of silicone on it. So I put the red silicone because it's in a high heat environment. You could maybe get away with black silicone if you had it, but I just do the red just to be sure. Because you're gonna let your silicone on the lower intake manifold set up anyways. So, because black silicone where the lower intake manifold meets top of the engine's fine, but I'm using red because we're dealing with the coolant here. And coolant's definitely, you know, sometimes upwards of, what, 220 degrees, if not more, when the engine's running hot. Okay, so threads are slowly spinning out. Here it needs to go a little bit more. There we go. Just one more thread and it's off. Okay. So we got the lower fitting out of there, and then the bracket is off the stud, so we can kind of pull it off. And what I ended up doing is, each yard doesn't move a whole lot, so I just got the bracket, get it out of the way as best you can. It's not going to be perfect, but you can get off the side near the oil fill cap, and the end of the bracket will be over top of that intake manifold, but you kind of just have to lift it up when you're going to go eventually remove the intake manifold. So just be careful of it. A lot of clearance for everything. Oh, okay, so it just has a little plastic hold down over this stud. There's not a nut hold down. Oh, plastic. Oh, crap. Oh, don't you just... Why the car companies, why do they have to save money and cheap out? I mean, why? Well, let me grab those plastic pieces before they go falling down the engine. Okay. Well, for our final step, I dare say we just need to disconnect or take out all the lower intake manifold bolts. We are really at that home stretch. So these two in the front, they are going to be your worst nightmare. Thankfully, okay, so when I originally took this out, one here and then one right here, I broke them off. They break off. There's really, what you can do is you can smack on the top of the bolt head with a hammer, maybe try to free up some of the rust down the threads. You can go righty-tighty a hair. I'm talking like not even a full 16th. Just go like a 30-second return just to see if it'll move. And then go back a 16th and just keep working it back and forth just a little bit, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey with the factory bolt. Now, it's actually a through hole. You can't see it. It's down underneath here. And that's why you get a bunch of crud and up in there. And if it rusts out, you're probably going to break it. Now, if you break it, you're going to have a bad time. What I was able to do is some of the stuff was still sticking out. So I took a little Dremel with a cutting wheel and I cut a slot. And I heated it up with a torch. Keep making sure all the wiring and stuff was out of the way. And I hit it with the impact with the flathead bit and was able to thankfully loosen not just the one side, but the other side that I broke off as well. So just be very careful with these. You're probably going to break them off. It sucks, I know, but if you can get them out, you can get them out. The rest go into blind holes, and they were looking clean on the threads towards the other end of the bolt. So we will start with these. This I grabbed, and I ran a tap through the threads to clean them up before I put these new bolts in. These are grade 8 bolts, and let's see. Oh, that's perfect. It's 1/2 inch. And we'll just, yep, break those loose. So once you yeah, it's gonna be tough. When the factory bolts, you're probably gonna break them, like I said, but get these out, get some new bolts in there, and you'll be glad that you did. Don't just shove the old bolt back in, because it's the threads are gonna be worse, way worse for wear. And make sure the new bolt you get is the same length or similar length so you don't have it sticking out or too short. You can see mine is already rusted up after just 7 months on the car. I think I even put a little bit of Never Seas in there, but it's just, yeah, it's just dirty. I definitely did. But yeah, do a grade 8 bolt if you can, or stainless if you got it. I don't think I had any stainless at the time, but it'll work. We'll clean that up before we put it back in. And she breaks loose. Nice. Okay, I'll take the ratchet off. I'll go spin the rest off. Just holding the extension. Yep, got it all the way out. Nice. Okay, so look at the condition of this one. Yeah, about the same. It's honestly not too bad. It's just got a little dirt on it because, like I said, it is they are both through holes. And I'll show you once we get the intake manifold off. Okay, right there. So that's the front two lower intake manifold bolts. Plenty of YouTube videos on taking off the upper because that's way easier. Okay, so next we'll move back here on the passenger side. We got one here. Nice. Okay, that one's out. All right, so yeah, see how clean this looks? You can put never sees on it, even though it looks so clean. Okay, looking for the next one. We're gonna have two close to each other. Yep, one here and one here. So we'll take these two loose next. And she comes loose just like that. Let me see here. Oh yeah, so now we're on the one where the stud was. So you're gonna definitely need a deep well. We'll just keep using the same one with the 6-inch extension. Okay, get that nice and loose. This bolt is gonna have the stud on it for the bracket for the heater coil hard line. So fish that out with our fingers. And that nut we put over here earlier, we'll just put it on the threads down in there. Right on it like so. Should be able to get that nice and loose. Yes, very good. Okay, I'll put you guys back up here. Okay. Here goes another one with the stud. We should have one, yeah, right next to that one. Two in the middle of the lower intake manifold. They're close to each other. Only about 1.5 inches apart. Okay. Close for the shot. Actually, I'll take the socket out. I'll put you right there. That bolt right there will be the last one. Of course, the other ones are here, 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 and the one in the front that we've already taken out. Okay, so if you're taking this off for the first time, it is going to be really seized on there. So what I recommend is something like a pry bar, and I think I pried off of this metal housing of the pulley bracket, and let's do it again. That might work for us, but be careful of this the wiring loom here, and then you can pry up under the elbow area. Just make sure you're prying on metal from metal, if you catch my drift. And I think that should be what I need. There we go, just like that. All right. And you can see the whole thing is loose. Very good. Now comes the fun part. You're gonna have to finagle it out with the wiring and stuff. So, and I recommend, I think what I did is I took it out the driver's side, because I can kind of lean my hand on the strut tower here and on the battery and do my thing. With this harness, you're gonna have to be careful with that. Get that nice and out of the way. Yeah, okay. Oh, get the throttle cable up and over. Yes. Up and out of the way, up towards the dash. You kind of start, pick up the front, the intake manifold. Try to get the whole thing to move forward if you can. It's just gonna be a real pain at first. Once you have a clear path, success, you can go for it. Just be careful, don't tear anything up on your way out. All right, almost there, almost home free. And there we go. Yes. Oh. One intake manifold out of the car. Thank goodness. Okay. Here's what it looks like. And if you were taking your job for the first time, this area where the gaskets go, you're gonna have to clean up all the old gasket material, scrape it off, and clean this surface up real well. I did that last time on mine. It still looks fairly good. Of course, I'll need another wipe down. Now here you can see the cork pieces, and they moved around on me. That really sucks. I got it pretty close, but this part right here shifted, and I believe that's what caused some of my oil leak. On the bottom, kind of the same thing, only half the cork piece came off, the other half still in the car. It just really sucks these cork pieces don't work as intended. Well, actually the whole thing, I think it's crushed, except for this one part, even though I caked them in silicone too. That really sucks. But now we know there's not a lot of pressure apparently in this area underneath the lower intake manifold. We can just build up a nice fat bead of silicone. Okay, so that's that. Let me lay this back down so it don't tip over. I'll pull on the workbench a bit. Coolant finishes dripping out. I want to thank you all for watching. This has been part 2 of removing the lower intake manifold on your 1995 Mustang. I'll also work on a 1994 Mustang. So be advised, both will work. And these are my new gaskets. And as you can see right here, it is a through hole for the front 2 in lower intake manifold bolts, and you can see it's real crusty in that hole. I ran a tap through it last time and just spilled some coolant, but I'll clean all that up. But yeah, here it is in the valley here of the motor. And here's the back. Got the scraped silicone off of there. And then you can see the oil leaked out from the back side as well. It leaks out from the back and the front if you don't seal it real well. The sides are just gaskets all the way down, so that shouldn't be too big of an issue. You can see these are new gaskets I had put on from last time. All right. So yeah, that's that. Yeah, I think that's all I got for you. So thank you for watching this video. If it helped, drop a comment, subscribe, like, whatever. And I'll get this all cleaned up and see about next steps. So thank you for watching. And you can tackle this job yourself. It's just going to be time consuming, but it can be done. All right, take care. Oh, and by the way, P.S. this is the orientation of the lower intake manifold bolts, starting from the front, driver's side back, passenger side back, for your reference.